Good morning, and thank you for stopping by to spend some time with me today here on the couch. I've just gotten back from vacation, and as evidenced by these vacation photos, you guys were on my mind while I was gone. Yes, that was Joe Bonamassa. The wife and I saw him for the very first time live in Biloxi, Mississippi while we were there last week. And if you have not seen him, it was a fantastic show. And if you're not familiar with him, I would recommend that you look him up. He is the best-selling blues guitarist of all time, and there is a reason for that. He is phenomenal. But while I was there lying by the pool reading about guitar theory, it occurred to me that I might try something different here on the channel. To this point, I've done only song tutorials, but I thought I'd try mixing in some actual short lessons to hopefully help you grow in your guitar playing a little more than one can from just playing other people's music. I hope to mix in some of these lessons and go a little more in depth, and here's why. I never took lessons growing up. I learned to play by reading tablature and learning songs that I liked from the radio or MTV when they actually played music videos in the 80s and 90s. That's fine, however, it can be limiting in that we learn to mimic others in this way and still not actually know how to play guitar. If you watched my last tutorial video on Everclear's song Santa Monica, you know that I gave a quick class on major bar chords and said that that song in particular was a good one to help you learn bar chords and also changing from one to another quickly. If you've not seen the tutorial, here's a link to it and it will help you with those skills. So today I'm going to talk about both major and minor bar chords and how they are played. I'll ask that you help me in the channel by clicking the like button and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and let's jump right in with step one. So there are a few just basic, super simple knowledge prerequisites that we need to know to help us to get through this lesson, or that we're going to want to know to effectively use these bar chords that we're going to learn. The first is that I assume you know the numbers and the letter names for the strings. So the thinnest string, the one farthest down, is your high E, and this is when they're played open without being fretted. The next one, the second string, string number 2, is a B. Third string is a G. Fourth string is a D. Fifth string is an A. And then the sixth string is another E. It's a low E. The next simple concept that we need to understand is that there are only 7 diatonic notes, or notes that are not sharps or flats, in the whole musical alphabet. That's it. There's 12 notes total. 5 of them have sharps or flats. 2 of them do not. So 2 and 5 makes 7. So I'll start with the A string because that's easiest. It goes A through G and then it starts over again at A. A. The next fret up is going to be an A sharp because it's a half step. If I go up a whole step, that's a B note. If I go up another half step, there is no flat or sharp between B and C. So the next one is C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E. There's no sharp or flat between E and F. Those are the only 2 oddballs, B and C and E and F. So there's an F, F sharp, G, G sharp, back to A. So if I'm going this way on the neck, it's going to be a sharp. If I'm going that way on the neck, I'm going to call it a flat, even though it's the same note. So before an A, we're going to have a G, right? So if I'm going this way, it's a G sharp. If I'm going this way, it's an A flat. So hopefully that makes sense. But the 2 that are really important to remember are the B to C. There's nothing. It's just 1 fret or half step, and E to F. Same way. So our next string, and the 2 strings that we're really going to be concerned with here, are the E string, the 6th string, and the A string, the 5th string. So the E string just starts at E. So the next letter after E is F, and it's only a half step. There's no sharp or flat. F sharp, G, G sharp, A sharp, B, C, because no sharp or flat, C sharp, D, D sharp, and then we're back to E. So the 12th fret, that's an E, and open, that's an E. This one is just one octave higher, but it's the same note. So that's important to remember. So everything on your fretboard, once you get past the 12th fret, is just repeated an octave higher. The thing that I want you to really focus on remembering, at least for this lesson, are just those diatonic notes, A, B, C, D, E, and F, and how many spaces there are between them. And there's a cool little trick that we can kind of use for this, or that I use. I know open on my 6th string is an E, and I know the 1st fret is an F. After that, 3rd fret, 5th fret, 7th fret. So where the dots are on a lot of guitars, the fret markers, mine doesn't have one till the 5th, but a lot of them have one on the 3rd there. That's going to be G, A, B, the word gab, right? So that's pretty easy to remember. The dots are G, A, B. If we go down to the next string, the 5th string, on those same frets, frets 3, 5, and 7, we're going to have C, D, and E. So between those 7 spots, we have the entire alphabet. So I want you to kind of keep that in mind. So it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now these are lower, and I could keep going this way, right? I could go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then I start back over at A. But just for this bar chord lesson, remember you have an F here. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And the word gab, G, A, B, C, D, E, and my F is just kind of down here on the 1st fret of the 6th string hiding out. So I just have to kind of mentally remember that. So how are we going to form these major and minor bar chords? If the chord is going to be rooted on our E string, the 6th string, we're going to make an E shape. And assume you know how to make an open E chord. It's an E major chord, so I'm playing the E string open. My middle finger and my ring finger are on the 2nd fret of the A string and the D string, and my index finger is on the 1st fret of the G string. So that's an E chord. The other chord that I'm going to need to know open is the A chord. So I'm playing 5th string open, which is an A, and then I'm going to play, I've got my middle, or my index, my middle, and my ring finger are on the 2nd fret of the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th strings, and I can play all those strings from 5 through 1. Now, there's another way I can do that, is that I can bar that with my pointer finger. I just put my pointer finger there, I push down hard on the 2nd fret of all those strings, but I just don't want to play the high E string. I can play strings 5 through 2. Got a little buzz there I need to work out, but that's a mechanical thing. That's not a, has nothing to do with the lesson. So that's an E chord, or that's an A chord, that's an E chord. You need to remember those 2 basic shapes. That's it. So as we go up now, I could, and I was thinking I brought a capo in here, but maybe I did not. I could put a capo here on this 2nd fret to hold down all those strings. And then I could make an A shape right here, just like I did here, on the 4th fret. It's the same shape, but what I'm doing is I am effectively, instead of the strings going over the nut here and being played open, what I'm doing is I'm pushing down hard on the 2nd fret, so now the strings are going over the 2nd fret, and the 2nd fret is becoming like this nut. So, and then if I push down on strings 2, 3, and 4 with my ring finger, and I'm playing string 5 with my index finger, that's now a B chord, it's not an A chord. There's no half step between B and C, so if I slide that up 1, That's now a C chord. Just like that's a C chord. That's a C chord. Sounds the same. Slightly different voicing, but same notes, same chord. From here, I can go up to here, it's a D chord. If I go up to here, it's an E chord. And what I want to remember, those dots, like I was saying, C, D, E, because my index finger, whatever fret that index finger is on, is the chord that I'm playing. So, in our example earlier with the letters, that's a C, that's a D, and that's an E. Now, if my chord is rooted on the 6th string or the E string, I'm going to make that E shape just like I did here, but I'm going to use my other fingers to do that. So, from an E, the next one is only one up. That's an F. If I go 2 up from there, that's a G. And now we're into our word like we said earlier. G, A, B. Gab, right? G, A, B. Those are all major chords. I could go back down here to my C, D, E, and then back to F, G, right? So we've got the whole alphabet from A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. We can play all those chords here just like we can down here. The advantage is that if I'm playing a lead line or a melody up here, number one, it's going to be quicker and easier to get to the chord as a bar chord than it is an open chord. Number two, it's a slightly different voicing, so it's going to sound a little bit different. And number three, sometimes you might want to make variations on chords that are hard to make as an open chord, but they're easy to make with a bar chord. Now remember those shapes that we just used, the E shape, because we're rooted on the E string, so E shape. That's an A chord on the E string, but that's a major chord. So if I want to make it a minor chord, I do the same thing I do down here. If I want to make this an E minor, I just pull that finger off, right? So now it's just my ring and my middle finger on the 2nd fret. So at the A chord right here, like we just did an A major, if I pull my middle finger off, now it's just my pinky and my ring finger on the 7th fret. I'm barring everything else on the 5th fret with my index finger. So now that's an A minor. Just like that's an A minor. That's an A minor. Hopefully that makes sense. On the A string, if my chord is rooted on the A string, it's almost backwards. So I make an A shape to make the chord. So there's a C chord. But if I want to make it a minor, I turn it into an E shape. So there's a C minor. And I do it the same way I do it down here, okay? There's an A minor from the A chord. I'm just taking this last string or the last note. It's actually the 3rd note in the chord. Chords are made up of the 1st, 3rd, and 5th, but that's a whole different lesson. So instead of the A being all those, I'm flatting or going down by a half step on the 3rd note of the chord. I do that same thing here with whichever chord I'm playing. So that's a D minor, C minor, E minor, just like that's an E minor, that's an E minor. Sound basically the same, slightly different. So if I want to make a minor on the E rooted notes, I lift this finger off and I just use these two. There's an A minor. If I want to make a minor on an A rooted chord, there's the major, there's the minor. It becomes more of an E shape, but the root is on the A string. Hopefully that makes sense. I'll also say this, that throughout my playing career, I personally have felt like there have been a few major milestones that I've hit where I made great strides in growing in my playing. Number one was real early on when I learned how to play power chords. Things like this, basically 2 notes or maybe 3 notes depending on how you want to play it. Same here. So when I was a kid in the 80s and listening to bands like Dokken, right, those power chords allowed me to play those songs that I enjoyed listening to on the radio or watching MTV or whatever. My second major milestone was just a couple years ago when I really made a concerted effort to learn the notes on those 2 strings, and I started playing bar chords. It helped my playing and me personally to write songs. It helped me immensely to do that. The third major milestone was not too long ago when I learned not just the first pentatonic box like most people know, but all 5. And that helped me with being able to improvise and to solo, but that's another lesson too. So for right now, just know this, that if it's rooted on the E string, F, G, A, B, those are majors. Lift off this middle finger, F minor, G minor, A minor, B minor. If it's rooted on the A string, C, D, E. If I want to make it a minor, I use that E shape, just like my A minor. C minor, D minor, E minor. That's it. That's all there is to it. It's really very simple. That's all for today. I hope you found this lesson to be of benefit. I'll ask again that you like and subscribe, and as always, I would encourage you to pick Jesus. Seek Him with all of your heart. Things are going to get even weirder than they already are, and He is our only hope. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you back again soon, right here on the couch.